What's going on? It's OG Ninja Kitty here. I'm gonna go over just some rundowns of what I do as a Feral Druid. Uh, you know, I got Glad last season. First season I've actually ever pushed for Glad. It was pretty easy. I haven't done any pushes this season yet, but I'm chilling. I've been 2100 this season, almost right around 1950. I'll do a push later on, but I have been 2600. Doing all that stuff. But so I'm just gonna be doing a little guide on what I do as a Feral Druid, my opens, my rotations, what I do certain situations, and then I'll probably go over some of my talents and just touch up on Conduits, and then yeah. So we'll just that's what I'll touch up on. So let's get to it. All right. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna touch up on my talents. So this is what I standardly run. Like anytime I'm going into anything. By the way, I'm Necro, so this would change completely if I was playing Kyrian or Night Fae. But as a Necro Feral, this is what I'm gonna run. 100% of the time I'm running Lunar Inspirations. I'm running Wild Charge. I could run Renewal because as a Feral Druid, especially with some of the speed buffs and everything, I have 3% speed right now. I'm trying to get one of those rings that I can actually upgrade the speed on, but it's just my server doesn't have, good people that like to put good things on it, so it doesn't play out. But so Wild Charge, it's just a really good thing. It's really strong. It allows you to get away. It allows you to get to. With the new trinket that actually whenever you kick somebody, they're immune for 15 seconds. You can actually go bear form. If you go bear form and charge them, it roots it. And you saw how it said immune? It'll say the same thing to them, but it'll actually cancel out that trinket. So you can instantly just charge them and then kick them, or you can charge them, bash them. You can charge them, clone, whatever you got to do. It's really easy. So here in the third row, some people are starting to play with the balance affinity a little more. Me personally, I'm not going to touch it too much. Maybe if I was in RBGs. If I was doing RBGs, sure, why not? But as a Feral, nah. I'm in arenas, I'm running Guardian Affinity 9 times out of 10. Just because that 1 out of 10 times is when I'm running double DPS and I'm doing 2s. I'm going to run Resto Affinity with a Hunter, and that's only going to be if we're fighting a healer DPS. Anytime in 2s that I'm fighting double DPS against double DPS, I got to run Guardian Affinity, because with that big nerf to Fleshcraft, you're just so susceptible to die now. So it's and the Well-Honed Instincts nerf on Frenzy Regen, you're really susceptible to die. So I'm running Guardian Affinity 9 times out of 10. You can also run the in-cap Roar to get rid of that trinket. My biggest problem so far this season is the trinket, but it is what it is. So on 35, I never run Heart of the Wild. Never. There's some people that can make it and utilize it pretty well, but it's 45 seconds. I can live for 45 seconds, right? If I'm fighting somebody that's running Heart of the Wild and I'm just going to live for 45 seconds outside that Heart of the Wild go, and then I have 5-minute window, because it's a 5-minute cooldown, so it'll be 4 minutes and 15 seconds at that point. But still, the statement still stands. Like, that's way too long of a cooldown to be waiting on, like where Bash is just so utilizable. And if you're running jungle, which is a Feral, a lot of people are running jungle, right? A lot of people. You got Kitty Cleave now. You can try FLP. FLP's looking like it might actually be pretty good, which is Feral Lock Priest. Kitty Cleave is going to be with the Fury Warrior now and a Holy Pally. And then you got Ret Feral's still looking pretty good. FMP, Feral Mage Priest, that's pretty good. But jungle I still think is going to be top tier for Feral, which means Bash is going to be that middle marker. So whenever you rake stun once, so you're going to rake stun your kill target, your Hunter stun traps the healer, and your healer incaps the off target, right? Because they can incap now since it's Holy Priest. Holy Priest is the go-to. The next go is going to be you have to bash the healer, and then you maim the kill target, right? And maim is going to be on the kill target every single time. You never want your hunter stunning the kill target. You never want your priest running stun instead of incap for the kill target. Like it's just not a good play out. But there are scenarios that you can run mass entanglement 100%. Like when I'm fighting unholy DK with a Windwalker monk, 100% I'm running mass entanglement. Not just for me. Not like we give up that one little stun, but it's so much better because you mitigate the entire team's damage, right? So I'll show you something real quick, and I mean, you guys may or may not care, but I'll show you real quick. All right, so I went ahead and I got on my DK real quick just to show you guys like why it's actually huge, right? So if you look, it says Dark Transformation also increases the attack speed and damage of your monstrosity by 12%. Monstrosity is going to be whenever you're like your Dark Transformations, whenever you make your pets big, right? Whenever you got your Apocalypse out, it's going to increase the damages just because you got certain Abom Wound. That one's pretty huge actually. Festering Wound. Apocalypse. Dark Transformations duration is increased by 3 seconds, and it's another 9.6 damage from your pet. So being able to stop, like the whole point of this was just to say like being able to stop all the DK's damage that's coming from the pet, it's just, you need it. And that monk, whenever the monk is sitting there and he has all his pets on, it's just so much damage that mass entanglement it just gets rid of. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hop right back on over. All right, so we're back, right? So mass entanglement, situational, right? Hunters, BM hunters, it can be kind of good against, you know. I still run bash just because I like the setups, but mass entanglement is just whatever you feel more use from it, right? Solar Forest, I'm running it. I actually really enjoy running Savage Roar, right? Like the last time I played WoW before this season was back in Mr. Pandaria. I was still, you know, I was just a early teenager, but Savage Roar, I got really used to using it. I love it, right? Like I love the whole bleed play, like really passively, right? That was huge for me. But Savage Roar, it's pretty huge. It can do really good. You got to build it up, and the rotation's a lot different. I can show that in a whole nother video another time, but we'll just stick to the basics right now. So Solar Force, you're just gonna want that. Incarn, I don't really look at it as an option. You might be able to look at it as an option now with the Force set, because the Force set reduces the cooldown of Berserk by 0.7 seconds, which would actually be pretty good, right? Because Incarn, it replaces your Berserk now, so it will actually reduce that cooldown from a 3-minute Incarn down to like 2-ish minutes. So like every 2 minutes you got a really big go. But that's just me personally. I'm not a fan of it just because that's more of that big bite, that big out of nowhere damage, right? So that's just not for me. I'm more of a consistent pressure and then having a nice big go. I actually have a huge go now as Necro. It's pretty fucking, I didn't say it. It's pretty big. So Solar Force, hands down. Brutal Slash, the other two are not even, they're not viable unless you're doing PvE or unless you're gonna do like RBG and you're gonna be team fight, which realistically you shouldn't, but still. Feral Frenzy, that's my go-to on the last talent. Blood talents, it can be good, especially for Kyrian and Night Fae. It can be really good for setting up those really big bites, but I think Feral Frenzy is just too much utilization. You can, so like for example, you can have a let's see, I'll show you real quick. So we have 5 bites. We have the Feral Frenzy up, right? So it's huge, right? Because now we can just do a instant. Let's say like we're doing our countdown on our go, right? My hunter's like, all right, I got stun up, and so I'll say, all right, 3, 2, 1. I stun. It's gonna say immune, and then I Feral Frenzy, and I can bite instantly. So like it's an instant, like it's an instantaneous 5 combo points. That's just really nice to have. So I pick Feral Frenzy because I enjoy that instant 5 combo point, instant damage or instant maim, like whichever it is. You know, it's a full duration too. So it's pretty nice. Blood Talents, it's just if you're Kyrian or don't get me wrong, if you're Kyrian or Night Fae, you can still run Blood or Feral Frenzies. Like it's still Feral Frenzy is still really good to run. But Blood Talents, it's if you can set it up right, it works pretty well. Moment of Clarity, I just feel like it's more PvE unless you're running like Cat Eye Pro or something, which Cat Eye Curio, my bad, which maybe I just me personally I just this is what I run right now, so this is the main thing. So PvP talents, Wicked Claws if I'm running jungle, or if I'm running Kitty Cleave, I'm not running Wicked Claws. I'm running Strength of the Wild. So this will be my three setup. I always keep Strength of the Wild. I always keep Leader of the Pack. Thorns is the one that I switch out depending on what I'm fighting. If it's a melee cleave, I'll run Thorns. If it's caster cleave, I'm probably running Ferocious Wound. You could run Savage Momentum. It could be good. High winds against like your caster cleaves, it just really isn't. I can't find any viable situation right now because of the trinket that they have. So it's just, I don't feel like there's a lot of value. There can be. You just got to be really nice with it. And maybe I'm just not that nice with it, I guess. I don't know. But this is probably what I would run 9 times out of 10. If it's if it's melee cleave, I just swap the Thorns. But that's just in generally what I'm speaking. Now in twos is different. I'm running Wicked Claws and twos, Leader of the Pack. Those two are basically my always there, right? Now Thorns will swap out to Ferocious Wound, and then depending on what it is, I might run Strength of the Wild just so I get that big heal on my healer. Because if you read in the caster form, it says when use regrowth on an ally, initial heal will heal 30% increased crit chance, and cast time of regrowth will be reduced by 50% for 60 seconds. So you can, after that, like if you just do your instant cast regrowth on them, and then you do a beautiful hard cast, that hard cast is going to be super quick. And regrowth is pretty big right now. You know, heals a friendly target. The initial heal has a 40% increased chance to critically affect if the target is already affected by regrowth. So it can be pretty good whenever you're spamming it, you know. It's a pretty big spam button. You only get 4 though. That's kind of the janky part. So for me, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now I'm So but like normally they're pretty decent sized heals, so it shouldn't matter too much. But that's what I'm running on that end. And twos, the one that you swap out is Thorns. Put Ferocious Wound if you want a little bit bigger bites. So I feel like, me personally, I feel like Ferocious Wound would take over, like, if I was running Kyrian or Night Fae. If I was running Kyrian or Night Fae, I would look a little bit more like this. I would leave out the I feel like Ferocious Wound is a bigger one for you. So this is probably what I would look like if I was running Night Fae. You don't really care too much about the mortal wounds as Kyrian or Night Fae. It doesn't matter to you as much because you're not going for that damage, like the bleeds over time. You're not bleed building, and that's the whole point of Wicked Claws. It's based up off of your bleed, so it's not very good, right? So I would stick with Ferocious Wound over Wicked Claws. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and go into the rotation real quick. So we're gonna do this target over here just because it's so far away from everything. And there's gonna be a big portion of cooldowns that we're gonna use. So the new rotation is gonna be Tiger's Fury and Stealth. Right before I open, I press Tiger's Fury, then Rake. It used to be my Berserk macro, which is Tiger's Fury and Berserk, But with the 4 set actually takes you out of stealth. So we can't do that. We have to stay in stealth. That way we get that initial rake stun, you know? So it's gonna be Tiger's Fury, Rake, Berserk, Feral Frenzy, Swarm, Rip. And then at that point, you're just going to be spamming Shred with the whole duration of Tiger's Fury, or Berserk, my apologies. With the whole duration of Berserk, you're going to be spamming Shred. Shred is your main combo point ability when you have Berserk up. Remember that. You're not getting the value out of it if you're using Brutal Slash. Some of you might say, no, you get damage from it. But the truth is, you actually get a significant amount more whenever you do your Berserk Shred. If I can find this button, I will show you why. But I am struggling right now. Alright, cool. So, Well Stealth, Shred deals 60% increased damage and has double the chance to critically strike and generate 1 additional combo point, right? So, keep that in mind. Well Stealth, 60% increased damage. Now, if we go over here and check out Berserk, you go Berserk, causing Rake and Shred to deal damage as if you were stealthed. So you're doing 60% damage with Shred if you're using that one instead of Brutal Slash. All right, so it's just big, right? And then at the end of it, I always do a little tap off, you know, with Moonfire. But so this is what it's gonna generally look like. So boom, boom, and then we're gonna spam Bite. And, you know, we're doing 22k DPS right now. You know, we're doing a good amount of damage. You know, Sickle, 60k damage. Right, and Berserk just went off. So, like, it's an insane amount. 50k damage from Feral Frenzy. And mind you, like, this is on PvE targets, yes. But I guarantee if you do this open right here, you're gonna get cooldowns. If you have the 4 set, you're going to get cooldowns from the enemy team. 100%. We fought a Ret War the other day, and the warrior went behind a pillar to chase me, and my Berserk had come back up. And mind you want to keep spamming everything just because it reduces the cooldown of Berserk. Just a little side note real quick. But he decided to chase me because he wanted to, you know, just go Mongo and do all whatever warriors do. And so chased me behind a pillar. And I told my healer, I was like, yo, stun the healer. Stun the healer. Fear him out. I'm going to kill the warrior. I did a Shadow Meld, Rake Stun, Feral Frenzy with Berserk and Tiger's Fury up. And he died just because he decided to come back there. And it was in the duration of about 5 seconds. Because your Feral Frenzy, all that damage. Shoot. Let me see. I think it's this one right here. So your Feral Frenzy, it does a lot of damage. This will probably go down to closer to like 25k, and this one goes to about 32, which these both can like touch around the 30s, right? So right there is 60k damage, and then your Ferocious Bite on top of that is another, I don't know. I'm just trying to do some quick math. We'll say it's around 40k. 70 to 40k, so I feel like it's pretty realistic because I got about I got 3 bites in, 12k bites, 12, 24, yeah, so 36, yeah, right around 40k. So 35k plus another 60k, that's 95k damage in a time frame of about 5 to 8 seconds. That's a lot of damage, and that's just from you, right? That's not including your warrior, that's not including your hunter, that's not including your red, that's not including the mage. Like it's pretty big damage. You gotta be careful though with it, because if you press it and you have Berserk up and you press Berserk whenever you're doing it, if you're going off of a fear go, the 4 set will break fear. It will break incaps, it'll break fears. It's kind of rough, you know, but it's so. One more time real quick, so it'll be boom, 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 boom. Now we just spam our goes. I'm not as lucky with my RNG on a. Do one more. Now we gotta keep our rake up, and then that's our last bite. So yeah, it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. Yep. So that's what the rotation's just it's gonna keep rolling. That's just what it's generally gonna look like, right? Conduit wise, I'm just gonna show you right now. Like, this is just what I run. I'm trying to speed it up just a little bit. Don't want it to be too long. This is what I run, just because there's not really other scenarios. This one, I switch this one out sometimes. Like, if it's just if I'm feeling it, you know. If I'm really just feeling a little spunky, a little spicy or something, I'll be like, let me switch it out. But this is really good, like especially against RMP or something. Whenever like you see, I mean, I'm not DR stunned on anything, but whenever you see those DR stuns coming up, and you see that your whole team is coming off a DR, and then you're like, I don't have trinket, so I'm probably gonna be the kill target. You're like, you know what? Let me go ahead and go bear form as soon as the initial stun goes off of my healer. Why? Because now we got this, and my HP is 115k, which it'll drop here in a second to 94k. That's a big like absorption of damage. And then also instantly restores 25% of health if you're running with a lock. It's really good to go ahead and go bear form and then press that lock rock as soon as you go into bear form, because it's 25% of 115k instead of 25% of 94k, which it's a pretty good little chunk, you know. It may not be huge, but it's a pretty good little chunk. 25% of that feels pretty good. Let's see, what else do we got? Rotation. Just in general, like for me as a rotation, we'll do it on this guy. That way we can actually hit some stuff. So I always keep my rake up. I always keep Moonfire up. Shred. Shoot, I messed up right there. So the only time I really use Thrash, I now got this beautiful clear casting. Only time I really use Shred with clear casting, just because if you look, Shred or Thrash. Why am I saying Shred? Thrash. Thrash takes like, oh wow, did they reduce the amount that it takes? Cool. All right, but anyways. So the only two abilities I use whenever I have clear casting is going to be Thrash and Shred. Those are the only two. Because Brutal Slash is so cheap right now, I don't want to waste any of my 3 goes on Brutal Slash for free, right? So it's always going to be Shred. It's always going to be Thrash. It's always going to be one of those buttons instead of Brutal Slash. Because Brutal Slash is just so free, right? So I got Thrash up already, so I'm going to spend it on Shred. Just makes sense, right? I try and line up my Tiger's Fury with every single stun go. So Tiger's Fury and Maim I try and line those up together. That way I just get that little bit of extra damage on all of our goes. Sometimes it doesn't line up, sometimes it does. It doesn't matter too much. Just ensuring that you have that pre-5 combo points before the go is pretty huge. You as the Feral, you probably kind of want to call out the goes, because you'll always have like Maim up with trap, but you might not have combo points up with the trap. So it's just a pretty good thing to keep in mind, right? Gear wise, I'm stacking mastery. I run haste as secondary, but I mean it goes agility, verse, mass are my go-tos. Mastery is I feel like mastery is my like biggest right now because of the little nerf that they did to verse. But verse is still up there, so it probably goes mastery, verse, haste for me. Speed is actually really good this game because it gets you out of a lot of scenarios, and people are starting to get pretty quick. And Feral's ability to move is probably the best ability they got. So being able to kite is huge. So that little minor speed increase, and then there's a ring in the auction house. I'll show it to you here in a second. Let me see. All right, so here, this is the ring right here, the versatile Solenium ring, 262. So not like I said, my auction house. I'm not on a good auction house, right? Shout out to Crom though, because he is a big big player on the auction house for my realm, anyways. So, but anyways, these are the rings. With those rings though, you got crit verse, haste verse, crit verse. Yeah, not a wide variety, right? But you get to socket a gem into it, as well as there's actually a little piece on it that lets you get like a weird enchant, right? And with that enchant, let's see if one of the smaller ones have it. Alright, so you see right here, your spells and abilities have a chance to create a mode or harmonize ephemerally nearby collected emote, grants you 22 agility. So there's some on there, and there's one that increases your speed. It has a chance to increase your speed. It's huge. I recommend that one entirely. 100% recommend that one. With tireless pursuit, you'll be pretty damn quick, even if you leave cat form, right? Because I'm in cat form now. I'm quick. You see this? I'm real quick. I'm gonna slow down here in a second. I slow down. All right. I'm super fast when I leave cat form or travel form. But then I slow down. You know. So it's just little things like that. But yeah. So rotation wise, just keep your bleeds up. Outside of your bleeds, just spam brutal slash unless you have a clear casting ability. You shred. If thrash is down, you thrash with that clear casting. It saves you a significant amount of energy. You can try and line up adaptive swarm with feral frenzy. I don't, just because I like to keep more uptime on it. Doing your goes inside of maim and bash are huge, or maim and intimidate, or maim stormbolt, maim, like just stunning the kill target and the healer at the same time. Doing those two goes, it's really beneficial to you. Outside of that, keeping up your clear castings. Oh shit! Let me show y'all. One sec. Let me show y'all some macros that I run. So this is what I use for oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to show that. We'll keep my mouse right here. So this is what I use for my Kyrian, right? This is gonna be specifically Empower Bond, right? So there's two of them that you can run. You got to change out the Empowered Bond with Kindred Spirit or something like that. The Empowered Bond is whenever you're partnered with somebody instead of partnered by yourself. You got to make sure you watch that. If you're partnered by yourself, this macro is not going to work. If you're partnered with somebody, this macro will work, and it works pretty good. All right. This was my Berserk one. So it always, anytime I use Berserk, it uses Tiger Fury. And then I have Show Tooltip for Berserk. That way it tracks the cooldown of Berserk for the macro, right? This one isn't as beneficial anymore with the 4-set, just because Berserk takes you out of stealth, and that doesn't do me a whole lot of good. So here's the big Convoke one. Show Tooltip for the Convoke of Spirits, just because that's the big cooldown, right? We want to track the cooldown of that instead of our Tiger's Fury, instead of the Badge of Ferocity. You know, that's what we want to track. So those are just good little things to instantly boost up those little bites. Here's a big one for me. I don't use Arena 1, 2, 3, right? So I always make my healer the party leader. So it's always Shift C heals my healer. Control C heals my DPS. That's just how my stuff is set up. And then if I don't press anything, it heals me. So it's pretty nice, right? I got my Fire Eater Vow with this thing just because I think it's cool, right? Don't need to put that in there. This, just completely delete that if you don't have the vial. So, but this is a focus macro. So Z, this one's a pretty hard macro to hit. But Z is gonna be my kick. So I have Z somewhere right here. Oh yeah, it's right here. I don't know why I couldn't see that. So Z right here If I press Shift Z, it's going to be somebody else. It'll be my focus target of whoever, which that is, right? I also have kick over here because, like I said, Shift Z is pretty hard to hit sometimes. And if I'm doing a tab, because tab is my wild charge. So if I do tab and I'm tabbing to that target, that tab to Z, Shift Z is kind of hard, you know. So I do tab and then I press on my mouse because, you know, I got the Razor Naga, so I press right here on my mouse, and that's how I hit it. Let's see, anything. Thorns. So I have one. This is pretty nice actually. If you swap out between Guardian Affinity, Resto Affinity, and Balance Affinity, I highly recommend you get this one right here. I think this one is huge, right? So if you watch my in cap roar down here at the bottom right of my screen, Shift 4. So I'll show you. I'll switch to Resto Affinity. It changes instantly to Rejuve. If I go Balance Affinity, Typhoon instantly. I don't have to do anything myself, right? So anytime I switch it, this prevents me from forgetting to pull down that ability, you know. So it's pretty nice to have. Now we got that's for my hunter. All right, so this regrowth is actually nice, and I'll pull it down whenever I am running Resto Affinity, just because I like to have mouse overs. I'll show y'all my setup on another video, and I'll do some like arena throughputs and stuff. That way, it can just be nice. Cyclone, shift focus target for Cyclone. Remove corruption. I have it as a mouse over, right? Because if I get in a group, I have the raid frames right here. I just mouse over that frame. So let's say my healer gets hexed. Boom, instantly just mouse over, press Shift 9 on top of where. Oh shit, shoot, cancel. I'll just press Shift 9 wherever that healer is. So I can like mouse over anybody though. I mouse over them, put it on them. Mouse over me. Mouse over this guy. I don't know if it does. So that's just my little mouse overs. Shadow Meld. I have Shadow Meld Prowl just because whenever I press my Shadow Meld, I want to go cap form. All right. That way I can do a Shadow Meld break stun instantly. It's nice. A lot of these old ones are for like old abilities, old stuff. My Thorns is up to date. It's the same thing with my regrowth. I give my healer party lead, and then that puts him as he'll always be my shift target. And anytime I press Shift 7, it goes on my healer. Anytime I press Control 7, it goes on my DPS. Anytime I just press 7 alone, it goes on me. So those are some macros. I'll go over some of my keybinds and why they are the way they are on another day. But yeah. So for right now, that's my little setup. Let me know if you guys need any more information, any clarification. If there's anything y'all want, I can show you real quick. Sinful Revelation is the one I use. The other nice enchant would be Celestial Guidance. Primary stats 530, 20 stamina, minor speed. Like I said, I'm stacking mastery right now just because I really feel like mastery is the really key piece right now. Boots, it's going to be 15 agility. I just don't have my pair of boots yet, so I definitely recommend that versatile selenium ring. It's going to be verse mastery, and you're going to socket it with either verse, mastery, or agility, one of those three. You could do haste if you're really big on it, but I think as long as you're between 11 and 15% haste, you're fine on haste. 54% I think is the cap for mastery for Pharaohs, so there's no need to be higher than that, but until I get to that, I'm just gonna keep on grinding it out, you know. But get that ring. Aegis is good if you're just in general because it prevents Pally's damage, prevents Locks damage, mages, DKs. It prevents a lot of damage, right? Just it's nice to have, even with the little nerf that they did on it. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna hop off. Let me know if you need anything, if you want anything. You can watch me play some games on Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. I'm doing RBGs on DK. And then On the majority of the other days, I'm probably playing Ninja Kitty right here. I'm about to do some twos right now with my buddy Gum, and he's going to be on the Restos Druid, and I'm going to be on my Monk. So, yeah, follow me on OG Ninja Kitty. That's the Twitch. Y'all take it easy. Y'all have a beautiful day. All right. Peace.